Roger begins with an animated feature called The Secret of Nimh.
Well, our first movie is a delightful animated feature. It's called The Secret of Nimh, and let's stop right there with that title. Now, Nimh is spelled N-I-M-H, and no doubt some people are going to be asking, probably right now they're asking, if those initials could possibly stand for the National Institute of Mental Health. Well, probably a lot of other people aren't asking themselves that, but curiously enough, that's exactly what those initials do stand for, because this movie is a fantasy about a group of rats and mice, laboratory animals, whose intelligence skyrockets after they're given secret injections in the laboratories of the National Institute of Mental Health. And they get so smart, they escape, they set up their own civilization hidden in a barnyard, and in this scene, one of the mice, a timid little widow, goes to the wise old philosopher owl for advice about her sick child.
Why have you come?
Please, forgive me for disturbing you, but my son's life is in great danger. The plow has come early this year.
Move your family.
Yes, I would move, but Timothy has pneumonia. He can't even get out of bed.
You must move to a place where it'll be safe from the plow.
Please, there must be another way.
There is no other way. I must bid you good evening,
Mrs. Frisby.
Frisby. Mrs. Jonathan Frisby?
Why, yes. He was my husband. But how do you know about him?
That is not important. I will say this. His name is not unknown in these woods.
Please, sir. I'll do anything to save Timmy. Anything.
There is a way. Go to the rats.
You can notice there one of the best qualities of The Secret of Nimh, and that's the film's detailed and painstaking animation. A lot of new animated movies try to cut corners on the expensive old traditional animation procedures, but The Secret of Nimh creates not just animated movement like on Saturday morning TV, but also elaborate imaginary locations, backgrounds, wonderfully detailed characters, and as you can see in the next scene, a lot of body language. When the characters talk, it's not just their lips that move, their whole body gets into the act.
I don't suppose you would remember me.
Yes, you're Mrs. Frisby. And I'm sorry about your husband's death. Now, if you'd excuse me.
Mr. Ages!
Great Jupiter, woman, what do you want?
Mr. Ages, I know you don't like visitors, but this is an emergency. Please.
Madam, that is an emergency.
Oh, Mr. Ages, my son Timothy is so sick.
Timmy? The one with the spider bite? Oh, just give him some Pepsi-Cicero.
No, he's sick with a fever.
Well, I suppose I could fix up something.
Oh, thank you.
Follow me, but don't touch anything. Understand?
I do appreciate it.
Just how high is his fever?
It's burning hot to the touch.
Yes.
He's soaking wet with perspiration.
Yes.
And there's a raspy sound when he breathes.
A raspy sound, you say? Does he have a chill?
Yes, he does.
Have you wrapped him in a blanket?
Yes.
Now step inside, but keep your hands to yourself. I'm right in the middle of something very important.
I understand.
Oh, do you? Oh, look at this mess. Oh, shoot, go on. Your son has pneumonia.
Pneumonia?
It's not uncommon, but you can die from it.
Oh, please, dear God, no.
The Secret of Nimh widens out from that story of one troubled little mouse into a saga about a whole civilization in peril. Those rats and mice have grown so intelligent, they've even developed ethical feelings. They start feeling guilty about sponging off of human civilization, and they have a great debate. Should they remain as trespassers in the barnyard, or go off somewhere else and start their own new society? Well, that's an interesting premise, Might be a little deep for some younger kids, but I think they'll like the exciting animation. The Secret of Nimh was made by a group of animators led by a man named Don Bluth. They used to work for the Disney studios, but they walked out because they thought the original Disney traditions were no longer being followed. And my notion is Walt Disney would have liked The Secret of Nimh.
Well, I think he would have, too. I didn't like the opening of the picture. I thought Mrs. Frisby was a little bit of a twerp. And Don DeLuise does the voice of a big crow in the picture, and a big bird. And it seemed to be like, you know, a Jungle Book kind of thing where the voice dominates some of the characters. But once they get into the world of the rats, once this little timid mouse is placed in genuine peril, and this whole society of rats and their various personalities, including a ruthless would-be leader, then I thought the picture really took off and did give me some of the magic of the old Disney films.
One of the things it had that a lot of recent animated films have not had, I think, was depth. Depth in terms of character and depth of situations.
And you kept going to
new places. When you saw Mr. Age's laboratory there, for example, there was a whole lot of detail in the background, and there seemed to be a lot there.
Yeah.
Oftentimes with animated films, you feel, well, it's so one-dimensional. It's all on the surface.
And they only take you to one or two spots. This film keeps, as she goes through the forest, we get to newer and more interesting places. A good film.
We agreed on The Secret of Nimh, the animated fantasy about intelligent rats. 2 yes votes, especially for the skillful animation.